It is. It is. Thank you. Sound is super low. It's okay there. There's no. Okay, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. I don't know what's happening. Like, it's almost. Can you hear me now? Everyone's saying they can't hear me. Can you hear me now? Hello? Can someone comment if they can hear me now? Back. Okay, there we go. Sound is good. Yeah, sorry, it was set to mute. I don't know why, but that's it's nice. It's a challenge to keep your fingers occupied, making sure you got everything perfect. It's like flying a plane. The plane doesn't fly for you. You got to kind of do all the work. You know what I'm saying? There we go. Everybody's joining us in the comments, guys. I'm gonna ask for a favor because a lot of my videos don't get out there, and I've been throttled really hard. I was sitting at exactly 1,300 subscribers for 4 months. It wouldn't move up or down. It was weird. Then I would go into my subscriber list of new people coming. I'd get 3 to 10 subscribers a day, 3 to 15 subscribers a day, but it would sit at 1,300 for like 4 months. So yeah, so guys, go ahead and do that. Share my stuff. Go ahead and share this right now. Go below the stream. Your friends are probably gonna want to watch this episode because we're gonna have a few guests on the show. I really hope we could get Evan on the show. Anyways, let's kick off a little bit real quick here. A little bit of what am I looking for here? There's a lot of stuff here on the side open. Yeah, let's do a real quick channel plug here, guys. Guys, don't forget to check out the channel. We had a huge debate last night on the channel. Should Canada ban foreign investing? And yeah, we covered that. So we've been covering a lot of things here. Trends in the housing market last week was a really good show. Last week was really good. We were covering property taxes in Vancouver spiking and basically pushing people out. We were covering a lot of good stuff, a lot of good goodies, and especially the LA homeless situation where there's, for every vacant home, there's 4 homeless people in LA County. So, no, for every homeless person, there's 4 vacant homes in Los Angeles. So we're not going to get into that right now, but kind of wanted to keep you guys up to date with what's happening here on the channel. So there it is, guys. Trends in the housing market every week. I think we're on our 168th. I don't even know, man. And yeah, big debate last night. Banning foreign home buyers. Banning foreign home buyers. Owen says, BitTubers it is then? No, BitTubers, what I'm going to do with BitTubers is I'm going to start building that platform slowly. I'm going to let you guys come on there, check it out. Go look at BitTubers. Look at it, see what you guys think. It's the same thing. I'll get to it in a second. Here we go. Hit me up on PayPal. I lost a supporter here on Patreon. So, not doing too well on Patreon. So, I'm losing... the Mike Martins cult. Oh, man, you guys got to see that one. How I escaped the Mike Martins cult. Subscribe star if you want to support me. I got 4 subscribers on there. And... yeah, support the channel any way possible, guys. AdSense, I'm not getting nothing from it, but the thing is, a lot of people are saying they're running ads on my thing. And here is BitTubers. Here it is. I got 47 subscribers already. And like the same video on BitTubers with almost no subscribers, I have 104 views on from 7 hours ago. I tried doing that on YouTube, like with 47 subscribers. I'm lucky if I have 1 view. So something's happening. I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to pretend to know what I know what's going on in the back end of YouTube, because my job is just to be here with you guys and produce content. Guys, go ahead and shoot me a PayPal tip, subscribe star, and guys, don't forget to join this. I don't know what the heck this is. How I Escaped the Cult of Mike Martins. It's by Supreme Cannon. But it's not Supreme Cannon. He sent this to me and said someone's pretending to be me. Then they actually start responding to themselves here. In response to Mike Martins, Supreme Cannon responds to his own answers, which is really weird. And don't forget to check me out on the Dirty. I got 123 comments. Apparently 123, you can't go higher than that. So it's like 123 comments. So check it out, the Dirty, guys. Anyways, trends in the housing market. This is what you guys signed up for. So let's see if I could get I'm just going to message him here. I'll get into a bit of news here, and I'm going to see if I could get the Macdonald-Laurier here. Oh yeah, he's got it. He's seen the message. I want to see if he's in the. No, it's not Mike. Does it say Mike in the Night? Because YouTube's been really weird. No, trends in the housing market. Let's do this. I'm ready over Skype. All right, let's do this. We're going to get the Macdonald-Laurier on. Let me get his channel open first out of respect for him for taking his time to come onto the channel. Let's open up his channel real quick here so people can find it and subscribe to it. He puts up a lot of good, really, really good information here. Where is it? There it is. I thought I was unsubscribed. I'm like, what the hell, man? Wait a minute. I lost a lot of subscription channels here. Okay, I don't know who got purged, guys. But yeah, I'm missing a lot. I'm not seeing certain channels on here. Interesting. Okay, let's get on to the Macdonald-Laurier. The Macdonald. That's a cool name. There he is there. All right, let's get him on the show. Let's full blast.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, how are you?
Not bad. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. And guys, we got the Macdonald-Laurier on the show from out east in Ontario. And here's his channel, guys. He's at 728. There should be enough people watching this on replay to get him to 1,000 easy. And this way he could start monetizing his videos. And this way there's no excuse for YouTube to say, well, it's a non-profitable channel. Or they try and make stuff up just to get rid of good channels. You know what I'm saying?
I understand. Just to let you know also, I do post everything on, I do have BitChute now also that I do use also. So if you want to follow me on YouTube, you can follow me over there also.
Okay, the problem with BitChute, I tried uploading to it today, and like it's very slow. Are you noticing that, or am I just kind of out of the loop?
No. You're right. I mean, when I try to upload on there, I mean, I just mirror everything from BitChute that I put on YouTube. And usually BitChute's about a few hours later than YouTube. So yes, that's what everyone else is experiencing too. But none.
BitTubers has been good for me. BitTubers has been extremely good for me.
No, I've seen that. I mean, you don't have nearly as many followers over on BitTubers as you do on YouTube, and your live stream numbers are what, a third or a half of what they are on YouTube, basically?
Yeah, I remember when I had 11 subscribers on there, and I only have my channel there for 2 weeks total. So the first week I put up a video, I got 128 views with 11 subscribers.
Yeah.
The subscriber to view ratio doesn't make any sense on YouTube. And I don't know if you remember, my channel was stuck on 1,300 for 5 months. 1,300 subscribers for 5 months.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, speaking of even the whole YouTube thing, my channel on BitChute only has 12 subscribers. I have about 15% of the views I do on YouTube over there. So to put it in context, I mean, you are right on that.
Yeah, something's right. Something's wrong. And I've been playing. We're social media. We're social media discussion people, and we see the trends. We see the movements, and people talking and stuff. All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes. Here's the channel here. We're probably going to get Formafist on after. So we got the Macdonald-Laurier here. And let's get him up to 1,000 subscribers. Now, I already have somebody already saying that property taxes in Toronto are going up. We've been covering this craziness of property taxes. Do you remember last time you were on the show a whiles back and I said, how are these cities going to flip their deficits if all the middle class and working poor are mass exiting? Who's going to pay these taxes or support the infrastructure?
I mean, you tell me, Mike. I mean, if everyone moves out, just math will tell you have a lower tax base to tax on. So what they're doing right now is trying to go ahead and compensate for that. I mean, there's really no other way to explain it.
So basically,
but then the problem is, again, it's sort of a catch-22 in that sense. Yes, you increase property taxes, but at the same time, you're going to increase the exodus also. It's going to work both ways, and they just don't realize that.
But then the people that can't buy because it's too expensive and out of reach, they're leaving. But the people that do own, and they've been owners for years and stuff, and they've been good people and stuff, they're getting punished with higher property taxes.
Oh, yeah. And especially the boomers. The boomers are really getting hit with that. Yeah, it's crazy. And honestly, I mean, if you have a mortgage and everything else on top of that, I mean, just candidly looking at it for myself, I mean, I don't know how we've done it for so long, honestly. I mean, it's crazy. It's honestly just crazy when you really when you break it down the numbers and really see it for yourself. It's unbelievable where we've gotten. I mean, with or without even the property tax increase, even per se, but just from living expenses where they are, it's unbelievable right now.
Now, question that I've asked everyone that's been on here the last couple of weeks: could Christmas save the economy?
God, no, 100% no, no way, not in a million years. Mike, think about it. On the last jobs report, they reported an unemployment spike before Christmas.
That's okay.
Like, put it in context.
Right.
A month before Christmas, you're seeing unemployment spike.
Right.
Anyone who sees that and think retail is going to be through the roof, I'm speechless.
I'm actually correlating now. It's actually hitting me in the brain cells here, what you're saying. So usually around Christmas, they hire more hands to help with the retail. On top of that. So and they're still letting people go.
And plus, remember, you're not going to fire someone. Usually, if you're going to package someone off, let's say, you're not going to do it over Christmas. You're going to wait until. I mean, the credit card bills, of course, roll in January, then February, you're still paying them. Usually, it comes to like layoffs. I mean, there's a seasonality aspect to it as well. A company to lay someone off or package them off or whatnot, they would wait well into the new year to do something like this. They wouldn't normally do it a month before Christmas.
Yeah,
in and of itself is very abnormal.
Okay, so I didn't see that. Didn't even dawn on me also. So that's a great point because that just flew right over the kook's nest. Because now I'm starting to pick up on now your angle on it is very. I'm looking at the angle where they created X amount of jobs in Canada. Okay. During the election period, and they were all public sector, and then now we lose 70 some odd thousand private sector jobs. So how are they going to fund, back to the original question, how are they going to fund the public sector when the private sector is basically on walking the plank right now as we speak?
Well, there's only two ways to do it, Mike: more debt and more taxes. Which then just further exacerbates the problem. I mean, it's all governments really know, right?
Well, you know what happened in 1776 when they raised taxes, right?
Go ahead.
Oh, the Boston Tea Party, if you remember.
Exactly.
Right? And they said, we're not paying tax on your tea, go to hell, right? And that sparked a whole Constitution, Revolution, Bill of Rights, and a forming of a nation.
Yeah, it's all they know, but the masses obviously know something else, right? And if you see what's going on around the world right now, it plays into exactly what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, okay, give us a little bit of update on housing. Okay, you talk about housing here on your channel, which is really good. You talk about cryptos, you talk about repo markets, you talk about hedge funds. You're talking about everything on your channel, which is really good. And let me go to your videos here so you can see all his videos. He's got quite a few videos here. So tell us, in your opinion, if you want to elaborate on your opinion on where housing is going to go in first quarter of 2020, just go ahead and let us know.
I'll be honest with you, Mike. I think we're in trouble. I mean, you have to look at it this way. In the private sector, I mean, job growth has been slowing really since the beginning of the year. You're seeing insolvency spike, and insolvencies always lead. And in natural progression of it, I mean, consumer insolvencies lead to car loans and lead to bigger things down the road. I mean, your house, of course, is the last thing you're going to default on because ultimately you have to live somewhere, right? And that's rightfully so the mindset behind that. So not getting too much into the weeds on that, but I'll put it this way. Every single leading indicator I see out there right now tells us it's going to get way worse before it gets better. And there's no way you can have a bad economy generally and a good housing market. It just doesn't work out that way.
Historically, yes.
It's in a more general scale. I mean, obviously, yeah, we're really, really past. I think we're past the point of no return at this point, no matter what happens from here.
So now with them threatening to cut off foreign investing in Canada in real estate, are we too little too late on that?
I think so. I mean, if you look at foreign purchases, I mean, just on a global scale, I mean, you look at foreign purchases of real estate globally, we're way off numbers from 2017 already. So even if you look at that, I mean, it is too little, too late. Absolutely. No, I mean, banning foreign ownership of real estate altogether does create a slippery slope in other areas, in my opinion. But just looking at it on the surface, I mean, foreign purchases of real estate globally is way down from 2017. So, I mean, is it too little, too late? Yeah, they're acting 2 years too late, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because what happened was they actually launched this foreign investing ban in 2018 in New Zealand. They saw a little bit of, now they're in stagnation. So homes aren't selling because the New Zealand proper can't buy them.
Exactly.
Because they're out of reach. And then the homes can't sell because, like I said, the New Zealand. So they're in this period where the owners are not going to sell it for less than what they bought it for, and the people that live in the country don't make enough to buy it. So it did work out in a way where foreign or sales from China went down 88%. So it's been crippling New Zealand right now. So where do you see in first quarter? What is the Bank of Canada going to do? Do you think they're going to continuously lowering rates, or let's talk dangerous if it's okay? Are they going to go into negative territory? Do you see that? Do you see them doing that to the people, punishing savers and then rewarding borrowers?
I mean, rates are obviously going to get cut at some point. I mean, that much is pretty much known. I mean, honestly, myself, I thought they're going to go ahead and cut in the fourth quarter this year. I was wrong on that. Shame on me. But anyways, are they going to go to negative territory? Personally, I'm actually kind of hopeful on that front. I mean, if you look at what other central banks are doing lately, I mean, Sweden was actually talking about a couple of weeks ago that even though the economy in Europe has clearly slowed, and Sweden really does lead the rest of Europe, and they've showed a further slowing from there, which should lead through the rest of Europe in a couple of months. I mean, even they're talking about getting out of negative rates now. So, I mean, are they going to go to negative rates? Probably. I don't think so, honestly. They'll probably, I mean, when it's all said and done, it's hard to fathom a guess on these things too. They probably will just in fact go to zero at some point, which has stimulative effects in and of itself. I don't think they go negative though. But again, as far as where the bottom goes in this rate cycle, it's way too hard to predict at this point. But my gut says I don't think they're going negative.
Okay.
But again, that's more of a gut feeling on my end. That's just more of a gut feeling.
Yeah, there's parts of Europe right now that are in negative rate territory right now, and basically the savers are being punished, and the borrowers are getting rewarded, and that is a very bad mix of a plan. It's a very bad ingredient. It's a very bad tool that the banks could use.
I agree with you. I mean, look at all the riots and protests that are happening in Europe right now because of the house and rent prices. I mean, people
in France, it's France. It's got, in France now, local authorities are doing nothing for people moving into empty homes there. There's empty investor-owned homes that just been sitting there for 5 years empty. People are moving in and getting their driver's license changed over, getting their electricity hooked up there, getting everything, and no one's questioning them. Like, you go get your driver's license updated with your new address. The person doesn't ask you, did you steal this house?
Yeah, and you got a free house. You just move right in, basically, right? I mean,
that's what they're doing, and they're going to the bank and catching up on property taxes too. Believe it or not.
Yeah, I mean that goes to tell you how fed up people are over there, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, so Paris had 107,000 empty homes just in Paris, so it drove up prices on housing, made owners rich on paper overnight, but it turned the city into an empty shell, and they were sick and tired of it.
Absolutely, and really the same thing's happening globally. To be honest, also, I mean, even look at the rest of Europe for that. I mean, the same thing, same riots and protests are happening. I know for a fact in Germany there've been a couple recently. Yeah, the same anger towards unaffordable home prices for the locals is spreading globally, and there's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I mean, it's something you've covered obviously in nauseam. I mean, you're probably more the expert than I am on this, but when you look at the news reports and everything that's going on over there, I mean, pretty hard not to notice this, right?
Well, no, I was talking to somebody today, some like person that's like a well-to-do person that's connected, that knows everything. I go, what do you think of the riots in Chile? And he's like, there's riots in Chile? I'm like, yeah, it's pretty bad. They're burning places down. They're like, oh, really? I'd never heard of it. I never saw it on the news. I'm like, oh, that's the problem. You're watching the news right there. Oh, what do you think of the riots in Argentina? What? They're rioting in Argentina too? Whoa. Is that like Venezuela? No, that's another country. It's about 1,700 miles away, maybe 2,000 miles away. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, yeah. Well, you see what I'm saying? So a lot of people just don't understand what's happening on a mass global scale when it comes to... people think the Hong Kong riots have been over for months.
Yeah, if you follow news from the wrong news sources, I'm like, you're actually not going to know that, right? I mean, yeah, I don't really tell you on that. I mean, your analogy kind of is right on that. I mean, if you are watching the news, they're not going to tell you, right? So,
well, that's their job is not to tell you, right? So
exactly, 100%.
I'm looking at your videos right here. Canada unemployment explodes. Canadian banks earnings leading the way. So if Canadian banks are, how is the overnight rate in the Canadian banks? Are they getting injections? Are they getting stimulus that we don't know about? Are they coming? Are they balancing? Basically, are the banks balancing at the end of the night before they're over to make sure their overnight rate is set to balance for the next morning?
Well, there's small injections being done right now. I mean, yes, of course, the bank's open. I mean, really, when you really come down to the end of it, I mean, as far as earnings more generally, I mean, of course, they weren't good. I did a whole video on that. You can go ahead and watch on there for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, at some point, I'm just thinking of this as well too. I mean, if you look at what they're going to do to save this, I mean, will they go into full blown QE? I mean, that's been the playbook globally since really 2008, to be honest, and that's probably where we're headed at some point. I mean,
guys, I left you a link for the Macdonald-Laurier in the comments there, and he basically, Evan is very up to date on what's happening in Canada. So, are you seeing anything? What are your biggest fears for 2020 financially, for whether housing, whether it's the banks? What's your biggest fear for 2020 next year that what should people be looking out for next year?
What you looking out for? I'd say just watch. I mean, if you really want to know what's going on, I'd say just go ahead and watch Toronto condo prices. If I were to really just to be frankly honest, obviously been a lot of speculation in that space and whatnot, and of course now you have a slowing economy to mix into all the other headwinds associated with it. So I'd say just go ahead and watch Toronto condo prices next year. That's really what I've been looking at the last couple of months, and I think you should be too.
Yeah, I have a couple of articles open here about Toronto prices and stuff. I am following what's happening, but they're super severely overvalued. I think they're overvalued by roughly 58%. That's just my opinion. Because what you could just buy right across the border for a quarter of the price is just unfathomable. You know, and people are like, but then you're leaving Toronto, Mike. You're going to move to Syracuse or Rochester, New York. Yeah, but you can work at a gas station and pay your mortgage. Then you don't have to be a doctor in Canada, pay half your wages in taxes, and then the other half, you know what I'm saying, right?
No, I understand. I 100% hear you on that. And then of course, they're going to have the double whammy of increased property taxes also on top of that, and the cost of ownership in and of itself will just explode no matter what happens, and which is then it's going to lead to an exodus even more and more until the end.
I got a very dangerous question to ask you. Uh-oh. Abandonment. Okay. I'm looking at abandonment right now in the Vancouver retail sector. Last week, I don't know if you remember watching last week, where I was discussing the guy was paying $53,000 a year in property tax.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, you also mentioned it in Mike of the Night too. Yes, I do remember that.
For that little store, just one store. Now, Evan, realistically, if the owner can't pay the $53,000 a year in property tax because he can't rent it out, do you realistically see these things just being empty and then just like letting it go because they can't afford to pay the tax, and then the tenant can't afford the rent? So do you just see it like honestly becoming an asset that can't sell, that because no one will buy it when the property tax is that high? Do you see where I'm coming with this?
No, I hear you. And then again, I mean, that's just another headwind to add. I mean, I fully understand what you're saying. I mean, obviously, on top of the property taxes, there's other like macroeconomic factors that are playing into this also. But higher property taxes creating a short sale scenario, absolutely, that can happen.
But do you see abandonment? People abandoning properties, because it happened in Detroit when people couldn't afford the property taxes or couldn't get their storefronts rented out. They just left them.
Yeah, I mean, property taxes do go up in 2020. I mean, there's always usually a bit of lag when that starts happening as well. So what happened in 2020? I mean, it's probably hard to say 2020, but 2021, I definitely see it as a possibility.
Okay, so you're looking. What I'm saying kind of theoretically makes sense, but it'd have to go forward a little bit more in time for it to make sense.
Yeah. Because when something like that to happen, there's always usually like a 12 to 24 month lag effect. Is when they actually move, right? So I mean, 2020 they realize it's high, they can't pay it, they try and hang on, and 2021 is when that usually happens. So that's probably what you're discussing. It's probably more of a 2021 event than a 2020 event.
Okay.
But this year they are going to start feeling it, absolutely.
Okay. Now, other question. I covered this last week in one of my videos that insurance rates for condo owners are going to go up anywhere from 50 to 300%.
Yeah, I saw that article. That was for Vancouver. That was for Vancouver, right?
That's a big problem. But you know what? Oh. You know what Toronto says? Hey, look, Vancouver's doing this. It's working. Let's bring it over here.
Yeah. And another headwind at the worst possible time for the economy. There you go, right? Basically, it's answered your own question right there.
I think we have no windshield on the car right now.
Yeah, no windshield on the car in Toronto. It's pretty cold here tonight, so be sure to bundle up.
Yeah. yeah.
I'm just saying. I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, it's another headwind at the worst possible time. I mean, add a 50% increase in someone's property taxes or someone's insurance. So add on to the cost of carry for that property when the economy's starting to go down. and go ahead and tell me where it ends. Like, I mean, just do some people. It's grade 1 math here. Come on.
Yeah, it's like adding more and more fuel to the fire, and it's really. So we got condo insurance going up because the value of the condos have gotten so high that the insurance companies aren't covering their nuts if something happens, and they've taken people's deductibles from 20,000 to 50,000. Hi, do you want us to fix this leak in your apartment? Go ahead and pay the $50,000 deductible.
Yeah, basically, go ahead. We're not paying for it. That's basically what you're saying.
And you know what? You get some Mexican down in Miami. Hey, man, I got a leak in my house. They say, they go, yeah, let me look at this. Yeah, give me $20 in a case of beer. I'll fix it for you. You know. So it's different. It's different. It's Canada is like we're getting hooped so bad. So is Australia and New Zealand and the UK. So the whole Commonwealth.
Oh yeah, if anything, you look at Australia. Australia is probably Australia and New Zealand both are in worse shape than Canada right now, to be honest.
Well, because New Zealand is only sitting on a population of what, 5 million or something. So
exactly, yeah,
they're having a really tough time to put. It's turned into a nation of renters, and the amount of people sleeping rough in New Zealand is really, really scary. And what else? Australia. I got some articles from Australia that are very intriguing. I'm going to get to in a few minutes here. Very intriguing articles on what's happening down under. But yeah. Any last words?
Not much else to add. I would just say that if someone new here who's watching this, I do have 2 videos up about made my shock prediction on Toronto rents. I'll let you watch the video. If you've already watched it, you know where I stand on this.
Right here. My shock. My shock call on Toronto rents for 2020.
Yeah, and then there's a follow-up after that with some of the criticism from the previous video and
follow-up to my shock Toronto rent call.
No, yep, that's right. Yep, do go ahead and watch those 2 videos. I do break it down pretty in depth as to what's going to happen there.
Mm-hmm.
And
let me
the
put
answer in the video, and watch Toronto condos next year.
Okay, so your guide to understanding what's going on is to watch the Toronto condos, and I will keep an eye on that, and we'll have you on the show again whenever you can.
Also, yes, the Toronto condos, and also watch the unemployment picture also, because if unemployment keeps spiking, there's no way nationally we can survive this.
Oh, we'll just create a bunch of public sector jobs.
Yeah, there you go. How is it working out right now?
It's not looking good right now. So they're gonna have to. Somebody's gonna have to make up with more. They should open some more Department of Motor Vehicles across Canada and employ 50,000 people.
Oh, I know, and declining car sales when they hit the book. Well, you're gonna bring it. That's not gonna work out very quite well. Also,
no, it won't. All right, Evan. Thanks for the heads up and the what to look forward to in the next quarter. Thank you so much, Evan, from the Macchronicler. Hearing from the Machronicle, sorry. And I left a link in there 3 times. I'll leave you guys another link. Please go over to his channel and subscribe and watch the 2 channels that he recommended. My Shock on Toronto Rents 2020 and follow up to My Shock on Toronto Rent Call. All right, Evan, thank you so much, brother.
No problem, Mike. Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
So that's our man, the Macchronicler. I like saying Macchronicler. But the Machronicle, and that is Evan. He knows he's on the ball. I like when he used to do those videos way back in the day when he was sitting in his car. There he is. I used to watch them. I watched a lot of his videos where he's sitting in his car, and that's kind of cool. I do a lot of car videos too, so there he is, there, guys. Okay, so link in the oh, that went up fast. Hold on, let me put another link in there for you guys. There you go. Put back another link there. Go ahead and check out his channel. So let's do 2 things first, real quick. Let's get back to. Let's go into some market insiders here. Fears of slowdown in the U.S. housing market are mounting as Home Depot just slashed its 2022 sales outlook. So Home Depot's bracing for a loss in the States because they already know that people aren't renovating their homes. Or how many people? Well, in the States, it's a little bit different. You got pockets of success, and you got pockets of sadness. What's this one here? U.S. housing market expected to be sluggish in 2020. So if you're expected or planning to sell or buy a house, to buy or sell a house in 2020, patience may be in order, as the housing market is expected to be relatively stagnant the new forecast shows. So we're going to be seeing inventory problems continue. But how do you have inventory problems when you have several million homes on the West Coast that are completely empty? How do you have an inventory problem for every homeless person in America? There's 4 empty homes owned by foreign investors. I can't understand that. Could better transit be the key to fixing Seattle's growing housing crisis? No, they tried it in Vancouver. Go to the Vancouver playbook. It's not going to work. Seattle not using all the tools in the kit to solve the housing crisis. What do you want them to do? Go to 0 or negative rates? There's nothing left to do. And Bloomberg zeroes in on California housing crisis as he campaigns in Stockton and San Francisco. Does Bloomberg stand a chance? Or is Hilldog going to have to step in? Anyways, homeless face hidden hurdles in housing. Yeah, this is in Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon, the whole west coast of America, right from Vancouver, Canada, or from Whistler, Canada, all the way down to the Tijuana, San Diego border. And that's in the UK now. So let's get on. Now we're on America here. Let's get our friend from south of the border here, the uneducated economist, 2-time world champion, on the show here.
Hey, what's happening, brother?
Yo, 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 what's up? I'm having video issues on my side, so you probably can't see me, but I could see
No,
you
I can't see
perfectly.
it. Cool.
We could see you. We
Yeah,
could see you
yeah.
plain as day here, and you look good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for asking. How about yourself?
You know how it is. You win some, you lose some. It's a playing game. It's playing the game of life, right?
No, that's for sure.
Let me open up your thing really quick here. Let me just do this for you real quick. Let me get to your channel. We need to get you to 10,000 subscribers as soon as possible. There is no ifs,
Yeah,
ands, or
great.
buts about it. And
Thanks,
get your
man.
channel growing because you're spreading the news or you're spreading what people need to know. And when you're telling, yeah, let me go to my subscription. I lost, I'm going to tell you something. I had 100 and I subscribed to 134 people. I'm down to like 60.
Yeah, I noticed that I lost a bunch of the people that I've subscribed to as well. So I have to kind of go through my list and figure out, who it is that I've lost. Very strange. And some people said that I've been unsubscribed from their list as well. So
Yeah,
it looks like they did a purge of some sort of, over the
I'm
last few
not sure
days.
what they're doing. Here it is. Uneducated economists, street level thoughts, opinions, analysis, and perspectives from the working class point of view. You let me know. Here it is, guys. And I'm going to leave you guys a link to his channel here. Here it is, guys. Get over there. Very transparent. And I was talking about you earlier to someone at my shop that watches your channel.
Oh, right on.
And then they saw me talking to you one time, and they watch your channel, and they live in my town, and they were saying that, and I was telling them, you know why I like this guy, like I really like this guy a lot, is because he's really transparent. He's real. You're very like. You're not hiding anything. You're just very transparent, and that's very hard to find in real life, let alone on YouTube.
Yeah, well, I started this channel so I could learn. I started this channel so I could learn more about the economy, teach, what I've learned to other people who are interested, and it just started growing. And really, I think it was the audience that grew the channel. They guided me, on where to go and what to look at. I mean, if it wasn't for the viewers of my channel, then I would never be where I'm at today.
But you being humble and true is the biggest point.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
being humble and true, I think, in my opinion, is the most important thing, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm trying to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to be straightforward, and I'm trying to be, as clear as I can with people. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm not asking them to buy anything. I'm not, I'm here to learn. I mean, my only goal here is to try and educate myself and try and get other people around who want to be educated as well to try and learn with me. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's my goal. That's my whole goal, and I really don't have any other thing intended. It's nice to get some ad revenue every once in a while from Google. And
set up a Patreon account for creators.
What's that?
Patreon.
Yeah, people have suggested,
just do
doing
Patreon. You get 1,000 of your subscribers to donate $1 a month, and it helps you upgrade your gear, pay your internet bill, and help you service the costs of operating.
Yeah, yeah, and I've had a few viewers request that I do a Patreon, and so yeah, I probably should. I really should expand into other avenues. Mm-hmm. At least to even spread the message. If it helps to do that, that's really would be my only intent on it. I mean, making a few dollars is great, and it is a bit of an incentive to try and keep going. To try and keep the videos going and flowing. Because you do get that, the few dollars in every month for it, and it is a nice reward.
Yeah, good. Okay, so I had your channel up here real quick, and I was going to go over a couple of your videos that you just posted recently here, but I want to pick your brain a bit. I know you're in Oregon, and you're in the logging industry. Or you were
I'm not personally in the logging industry. I'm more in the building supply industry.
Yeah.
But my whole community, I mean, I grew up in the industry. I mean, it's fishing, logging, that's our money here.
You could probably name five people in less than a minute that live or that have lived in a logging camp.
Yeah, well, pretty close to it.
Okay, so the average American living in the Midwest, or they couldn't do that, but you can. Okay, so fears of slowdown in the U.S. housing market are mounting, and Home Depot just slashed 2020 sales outlook. Why is retail, especially retail to renovate and fix your homes, already predicting a loss for 2020?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all in perspective, right? I mean, people know that when the boom was coming and those houses were flipping and, increasing in price every single month. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how fast they were growing. It was easy. You could take out a credit card, buy a house, renovate that house, and in 6 months you would be, profit and money, and everybody would be rolling in it. Well, now you can't do that. You buy a house and you fix it up and you hopefully can sell it for what you paid for it and put into it. So the idea that you're able to flip a house is just like, not there. It's not like it was, when you go into the few years back. So yeah, it makes sense that Home Depot is slowing down as far as the renovations go. They just don't have people wanting to flip houses like they were.
But they're even projecting it. They're already shooting themselves down before they even enter the first quarter of 2020. That's some bad projections. Who's their regional manager? Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's. I couldn't tell you what their motivations are for coming out and saying it in such manners. But I mean, if it's their projections, that's what they're expecting.
I do have respect for that because they do have shareholders, and I respect that too.
Yeah, I mean, really, would you want a shareholder to be understanding, of the situation, or would you want them to be surprised later down the road? So, I mean, I really, like I said, I couldn't tell you what their motivations are, but yeah, I would think that at least being somewhat honest with your shareholders could at least keep them, maybe in the game through the rough time,
Mm-hmm. U.S. housing market expected to be sluggish in 2020. What do you think? First and second quarter of Q20 of first and second quarter of 2020.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. Now, I don't know if you've caught in the last video that I put out, not the last one, but the one talking about the shadow currency of the world. I have been on this trying to do some research as far as the shadow banking system and what's going on, because really I am looking at the shadow banking system, and it is well, for one, it's incredibly complex, and it's really hard to wrap your mind around the whole. Not even the whole thing, just even trying and understand what the picture looks like, let alone what the implications are going to be for the rest of the economy out there. And if anything like we experienced before the repo, where there was the drawdown in liquidity from the banks due to whatever tax payments or whatever it is that they had for an excuse, well, apparently that's going to be coming again here at the end of the month. And when that takes place, we're going to have to see the Federal Reserve stepping up with that repo market even more. So I have no idea what is going to be taking place here come, the end of this month and into the next year, because this repo market is this like, it was supposed to be a temporary fix and has now become a permanent normal thing.
Right.
And it's really kind of hard to explain the shadow banking system, but in especially, just in a simple, couple of minutes. But basically the easiest way that I can kind of describe it is that when countries do business around the world, right, when you have the world reserve currency being the dollar, when two countries want to do a deal with each other, they do it in US dollars, and generally it's done at the Federal Reserve with an account transfer. Okay, so that's a pretty simple understanding of the system. The shadow
like buying
banking
oil.
system,
when a country wants to buy oil, it needs to purchase U.S. dollars, and that's why they call it the petrodollar. Continue.
Exactly. And so now there's countries who don't want to deal with the regulatory authority of the Federal Reserve and, basically not able to do the deal or having to deal with the regulatory authority of the Fed. So they do it outside of the Federal Reserve and outside of the current dollar regulated system. And they do. And really, the best person to explain this is a guy, Jeff Snyder. And if you just YouTube his name, you'll find it right away. But he explains it as far as euro dollars go. And the best way that I can explain it is that contracts are written in US dollars and then used as if they're US dollars. And this is like a shadow banking currency system that is spread all across the world. Nobody knows how big or how vast it goes. And every once in a while, there is a drawdown in these things where people want to basically get paid and they're liquidating them. And the Federal Reserve has no idea how much of their liabilities, their cash they need in order to cover this shadow banking system.
Hold
And
on.
back in 2007, 2008, where we saw like the subprime mortgages starting to collapse and all, well, apparently it was due from this shadow banking drawdown in the currencies. And this is what actually kicked off the subprime mortgages here in the United States. Now, the Federal Reserve, since they're not keeping an eye on the shadow banking, the shadow currency, or anything else going on out there, they could only describe it as the subprime mortgages here in the United States because that's what they could see.
So hold on. I wanted to jump in there real quick. I said this like maybe 5 weeks ago. Risk varies depending on the capital asset being analyzed. And then you said exactly what that means. And what does that mean? Is basically they're not sure what the heck there could be over leveraging on something that's realistically doesn't have the flexibility in it, I guess. I
it just doesn't. Well, you got to think about it. How liquid is a market? How easy are you able to get in and out of that thing? Like gold and silver to me is a very liquid market. I know plenty of people who will buy gold and silver. So for me, gold and silver is a very liquid market. Now, having a fine painting, you would have to go find a buyer for that. That's not a very liquid market, not from my sense. Now, if I was a art dealer, that might be a different story. So now when you're out there dealing with like bonds and investments of like mortgage-backed securities and asset-backed securities, you have to find a buyer for those. Right? Now, on the run-up, when those things are going up in price every single month, it's easy. It's a very liquid market. Everybody's playing the game. But when the market turns and it becomes a seller's market or it becomes into a selling time in the market, there's nobody buying.
Right.
All of a sudden, liquidity is gone. Right. There is nobody, and the prices start dropping until they find somebody who is willing to give up their money.
And this is why we're seeing repo strains.
Right. Exactly.
We're seeing the repo strains right now because it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable because banks need to see some sort of, what you might call it, flexibility in their balance sheets. But they're not. So
right. Essentially, they're essentially overloaded with assets. They're overloaded with treasuries is basically what it's come down to. And they don't have enough cash in the system to keep the system functioning and rolling. And so that's where the Federal Reserve steps in with the overnight repo, where they actually pulling those treasuries away from the banks and filling them up with cash so that they have enough liquid cash inside of the system to keep rolling. They have to do this every single night.
But what happens when the risk isn't properly, assessed? And who's analyzing these risks? Is there an appraiser going in and saying, okay, these are only worth this and this is worth this? Who's taking this into nobody, right?
Well, in the banking system, you got something. You got people who evaluate you got like people who are grading like your bonds. You got Moody's and different people who are keeping that kind of rate. In the shadow banking system, there's nobody. There ain't nothing.
That's a huge concern.
So nobody knows what or how much or how the risk is all on your own perception.
So what you're saying is they don't know if they're tricking or treating.
They don't know anything. They don't know if they're tricking or treating. And really, I wish I had done a little bit more research. Really, if you give me about a week on this, I'm going to really know some stuff because I'm hitting as much as I can. I'm reading as much as I can on this. Because really, this is something that I don't think a whole lot of people are really talking about, because after this, everything else is a symptom of it. I mean, that's really what it is.
So are you talking about the reverberation within other financial, it's good. Do you think it's going to reverberate into, let's say, other sectors of the market that have at one point had nothing to do with each other, but now they will?
Well, ultimately what I see happening off of this is that just like any cycle, you're going to start seeing the churn. And when you see the churn in this stuff, there's going to be a drawdown in cash, and cash is going to start flowing out of the system, and you're going to have to see the Federal Reserve act. This is the reason why I feel that Trump is so adamant about the Federal Reserve dropping interest rates and going into as much printing of money as they can do, is to try and come up with the amount of liquidity that the shadow banking system is going to be demanding here when the cycle begins to turn. And, you can already see a kind of a test of it. When the Federal Reserve was tightening up their monetary supply, they were basically wanting to see how much of the world was demanding their liabilities. And they found it right away. And then it wasn't but just a few months later, they were in trouble with the amount of liabilities that they had into the system and realized that they just don't have enough at all. And so now, like I said, they're taking this repo, which was just really ultimately the overnight repo was supposed to just tweak it just enough, to try to kind of handle the little bit of imbalances in the banking system. Now it's a full-on tool. It's what they use. And what I honestly see is that if this system changes, you're going to have to see a deficit spending coming out of the United States unlike anything that they have ever done before in order to create the amount of bonds and stuff for the Federal Reserve to print and buy. Does that make sense? So that the liquidity...
You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. In the end, it's just a vicious circle. The circle of infinity credit destruction is what it's going to ultimately be.
So, what you might end up seeing before all this kind of takes place is that you might see a huge drawdown in these dollars. There's going to be a crash of the system. Everybody's going to be, freaking out trying to figure out how they're going to pay their debts. And then once everything kind of goes bankrupt, then they'll just, start filling it up again. And then all the rich elite will buy up everything under the sun.
Guys, we got uneducated economist on the trends in the housing market tonight, giving us an update. Let me put a link there. I'm going to be restreaming this on 11 different platforms for the next 24 hours, guys. So This is uneducated economist. You could find him on YouTube. Also, if you're listening, if you're on the I-10 truckers, a lot of them listen to this on replay. Don't forget to check out, because you're listening, you're not watching, don't forget to get onto Uneducated Economist and listen to a lot of his stuff. He's really good. So now let's step away from the campfire, because these horror stories are pretty scary. This is pretty scary stuff, you know what I'm saying? Because we'll take a step from the I want to ask you, Q1 and okay, do you see them, you were saying that it's a big tug of war right now, with them Trump trying to force them to lower rates, right? To give obviously more lending power to obviously the population, right? Allowing people to borrow more, right? And get them approved for bigger allowance or more borrowing power, right?
Ultimately, more credit into the system, more people can spend money, and
then kind of stimulate the economy. Okay, now let me ask you, how is, in your neck of the woods where you're at in Oregon there, how do you see consumer confidence? Do you think Christmas is going to save America this year?
Yeah, Christmas saving America. I don't know. To be honest with you, I work in a retail business, so every winter, especially in my business, you see a slowdown taking place. But to me, it does seem like it's a bit slower than it has been over the previous years. Now, honestly, I also, work in the building industry. And so I see a lot of homes that are going out, and I see a lot of people who are optimistic about building this year. So it's really kind of I kind of see both things kind of happening. I don't see a lot of people doing the retail, coming in for the smaller odds and ends and maybe, picking up gift cards or power tools, stuff like that. But I do see a lot of lumber still kind of flowing through the yard. So like I said, I kind of see it both ways. It seems like, maybe people who have had projects in the work for the last year are going through with those projects, and not a whole lot of stuff is starting new. I guess that's kind of the way I kind of see it, maybe.
Okay. Let me ask you, outside of the repo market and outside of them lowering rates, is there any other tools left in the banking cartel's toolkit to fix this problem, or are we going to be forever? Is there anything else they could do, in your opinion? You don't have to be 100%, but in your opinion.
Well, No, I mean, there's no fixing this. There's like no, like, there is no fix. Like, it's not a matter of like fixing the thing, because fixing it means like what? You go back,
patching
you go
it
back
up.
to a gold standard. Yeah. And then again, like, what is it you're patching? Like, I mean, you kind of have like a bad deal, and then you got a good deal, and then you got a like not so good deal. To me, like, it's not a matter of patching up a system, because you're never going to have a system which is going to be running like, 50 years, every year being a year. It just doesn't work like that. It's cyclical. So you're going to have good and bad. And then you have to be able to work through those things. You have to be able to, like, understand that you are going to be going through this cycle. One of the greatest people that I like to talk to is an old man at work, and he's like in his 80s, and he really understands like the cycles of things. He walks around and he says, yeah, housing is expensive right now. Give it some time. You're going to find the prices come down. And I ask him, why do you see this? He says, because that's the way it always happens. You just have to live long enough to experience.
Right, but here's the problem. And I brought it up quite a few times, is look at the repo market. The repo market came right out of left field.
Right.
That came right out of left field. I didn't expect that.
Well, yeah, and I actually did a video talking about the repo market about 4 months before the repo market became noticed, right? The only problem is that during that time, we were in quantitative tightening, and I thought that it was all about the reverse repo market, not the overnight repo market. So basically, it was about drawing their liabilities back into the Federal Reserve, not about getting their liabilities back out to the bank. And so I saw it at the time. I just didn't recognize what was happening because of the fact that we were in quantitative tightening at the time. We weren't in quantitative easing. So I was looking at the reverse repo, the overnight reverse repo rate, as opposed to the overnight repo rate.
Right.
Anyway, there's two, because you basically understand there's two things that are happening there. You got one system that injects money into the system, and the other system is taking money out of the system. And I was paying attention to the one that was taking the money out, because that's what was happening at the time.
Right.
And then when the whole quantitative tightening ended and they went into stagnation, basically, where it was this stopped raising interest rates in stagnation, but they went into stop raising rates. I kind of forgot about the repo market because it wasn't a big deal at that point, and then, here it was a few months later and it kicked in again. And I'm like, look at that.
You see? But it came out of left field, right? So your friend.
It really did,
So you go back to Business 101, we expect these cycles to just leave. We leave the markets on autopilot, and we expect these cycles to continue to flow just as they have in the last couple of 100 years. But our problem is, here in Canada, I'll give you an example, first-time home buyers loans. You can't afford your house, we'll give you another loan to take another loan out. So zero interest-only mortgages, 0% down mortgages, 100% loan-to-value, sign right here. We never had this stuff. And now it's all coming out of left field. And a lot of even some of the best economists on the planet don't know with the smoke and mirrors what's behind the curtain next. That's why I'm asking. That's why I wholeheartedly asked you, what do you think? Outside of the repo market and outside of lowering rates, what other tools do you think are going to come out magically?
I have no idea. I mean, to be honest with you, I have no idea, other than, because really the Federal Reserve, their whole concept is to print money and buy something, right? They usually buy mortgages or mortgage-backed securities, or treasury bonds. This is like the two main things that they buy. But they're not limited to that. They could buy stocks, they could buy foreign stocks, they could buy foreign bonds, they could buy all kinds of stuff. They can just sit there and buy up the world with their printed money. At some point, where do they lose the confidence in their system? Now that would be, ultimately what it is, because really they want the demand for their liabilities. They want people to want the dollar. And if they just do a willy-nilly printing and buying things, you're going to lose the confidence in the dollar. They basically self-destruct themselves. So what is it they're going to do? I don't know. I mean, they need to supply the world with liabilities, their liabilities, cash.
Right.
And, whether the demand for it exceeds their capabilities of doing it, or if somebody draws so many of them that they can't print, we're going to end up with one of two scenarios, inflation or deflation. And, the way I kind of see it is that it's going to be a major one of the two.
Let me ask you a very dangerous question now. We're treading back to the campfire to a ghost story.
Oh, boy.
Here goes. Do you see the United States of America headed towards negative rates at any time? Because in Canada, we're already going. Australia's going. New Zealand's looking at it. The UK is looking at negative rates. Everyone's looking at going into negative territory right now because the toolbox is out of tools. There's no more, I guess, financial tools or financial systems they could put in place. So do you see them going into negative territory? I know you don't have to be right about it. I just want to know what you feel.
Well, I mean, I'm the first one to tell you that nobody can predict the future anyway. So I guess what it comes down to is that I would have to look at it two ways, is that who's going to end up buying the treasuries enough to drive the interest rates below zero? Okay, because that's ultimately what you have to ask. Is it going to be the world buying it, or is it going to be the Federal Reserve buying it? Because somebody has to buy up enough of those treasuries in order to drive the interest rates down. The more you buy, the lower the interest rate goes. As soon as you don't have a buyer for them, then the interest rates start to rise. So that's what it comes down to. Does the Federal Reserve end up printing up the money and buying treasuries? Is that their ultimate goal, is to give the United States the ability to continue to go deeper into debt? By doing this, they're basically enabling the self-destruction of the United States under, collapsing under its own debt. And in turn, that means they collapse themselves. So, is that a likely scenario that, a bank would want to self-destruct themselves? And I mean, a lot of people might say, well, they don't have any choice, or they don't care, or they're going to, whatever. Okay, that might be the case. I try to think like, okay, if I was a business, if I was a man trying to run a business, would I want my business to self-destruct? No. And I mean, is there times in there that you have to say, okay, we're coming into some hard times. I have to sell off some new equipment, or I have to do, some changes to my business that's going to hurt. I have to lay people off. That's usually the good business decision that's made. And that's what ends up being the cycle that goes into it. So are we going into negative interest rates? Yeah, probably at some point, we'll probably go into negative interest rates. Is it on purpose? I doubt that. I doubt it would be done on purpose.
Right. That was a good follow-up to the question. That was good. That was really good. So I got your videos open here to the left here. We got wood, Shadow World currency, guys. Don't forget to check out that video. Guys, would you invest in lumber video? Don't laugh. It's paid for. And I actually want to say congratulations because you are debt-free.
I am. I'm finally did it, bro. You remember the very first conversation we ever had. I was telling you how I was trying to be paying off my debts, and I did it, man. I finally did it. I couldn't believe it, and I tell you, man, the world feels different. It
does.
I mean, I look at the world a little differently now. I mean, I carry myself a little differently. I think about things just a little differently than I used to, and living a debt-free life, I wish it upon everybody.
Yeah, it's really good. Disposable income. You just feel like you're more in charge of your own life.
Yeah, I really do. When I think about it, it's like I feel like actually in a really good position. I don't have a whole lot of things that are tying me down. I don't have real estate. I don't have like a lot of investments that I'm worried about and stuff. I'm really in a pretty good spot considering, I don't have much, but then I really don't have much to lose. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I feel great, man. I'm not worried about things. I'm feeling good, man.
I'm very, very proud and happy for you. Okay. He's got new shipping channels open, drowning in the sea of green, 1 billion square feet will disappear from production. China deal, what deal? My opinion on my whole thing on that is Trump is just playing ring around the rosy, and that's it with the whole China deal thing.
I agree. I think it's more about. I think it's more about the credible threats that come with it. He can really change the perception of where the markets are going just by tweeting, good or bad stuff about the China deal. So yeah, to be honest with you, I don't even listen to it anymore. I don't read the articles on it. I don't care. I don't. It's just like until an actual deal comes down, then I'll read about the deal. But until then, I don't care about whether or not it's happening or not, because it doesn't matter.
It's kind of like your guy's president is now on impeachment number 433.
Yeah. That's another thing. That's a big distraction. It's really, not saying like if it's. if there's just cause for it, then cool. I mean, I'm totally down for it. But the problem is that it's occupying so many people's mind and attention when there's so many more better things that they should be focusing their attention on. Anyway, I mean, at least that's my opinion on it. And there's plenty. Like I said, if there's justice that needs to be done, then I'm glad to see that somebody's at least stepping up to try and attempt to make that happen. But like I said, for most of us, there's other things that we should be paying attention to. At least in my opinion.
Right. No, you're right. You're 1,000,000%. You're 1,000,000% on the ball with that. Any last words?
No, actually, I really enjoyed the conversation, man. It gave me a chance to talk a little bit about that currency, because I haven't really had a whole lot of chance to talk about that yet. So I appreciate you letting me, kind of voice my opinions on that one.
No, I appreciate you coming on and taking the time to come on.
No, thank you, man. And I really have to thank you. You're like the one who gave me like my first shout out, man. You're the one who really got my channel up and moving and rolling. And, I kind of owe you a lot for that.
No, I don't think it's me. I think it's you for actually putting out content that matters.
Well, I appreciate it. But I remember that first video you put out where you're like, hey, man, I really like this guy. You got to go check him out. And I was blown away. I was like, holy moly, somebody actually noticed me. It's like, wow. And really, my channel's been growing steady ever since. So no, it was you, bro. It was you. You're the one who kicked the ball rolling, man. I appreciate it.
Well, now that you're debt free, now next, if we meet, you're buying beers, right?
Yeah, I'll buy you beers. I don't drink, but I'll buy you as many beers as you want, man.
I'm not a big drinker. I'm just kidding. But yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you bet, man. I mean, it's been great living debt free, man. It's just like all of a sudden I don't stress anymore, man. It's like, I got the bills up there. I can't wait to pay them. It's
good. It's so good to be free.
It is.
Well, anyways, thanks for coming on. And if you ever want to come on, Mike in the Night this Saturday is 2020 predictions. So we're gonna do 2020 predictions on Mike in the Night, where I did it last year at this time. Where people are just calling in and just telling us their 2020 predictions of what they think things are going to be headed. So let me know if you want to come on and throw out your prediction there. And
interesting. That's Saturday. You're doing that
this Saturday, Mike in the Night, 9 p.m. our time. You're in Oregon, so it's 9 p.m. our time.
Sweet. Yeah,
and that's 2 p.m. Australia time. The next day.
Right on, man. Yeah. Cool. I'll give you a Skype message and let you know, man.
All right. You take care now. Stay strong, and we'll be seeing you soon. Okay.
All right, thanks, brother.
Thanks.
Bye.
That is our man, Uneducated Economist, and I'm going to put a link again for his YouTube channel. I need you guys to go on there and check him out. I like this guy a lot. He's I don't know. When I first saw his videos, I wish I could go into business with this guy. You know what I'm saying? All right. Okay. What do we got going on here? What do we got going on for the show here? Let's get into some let's get into some really good shows here. Some quick news, and we're gonna see if we could get so we got the Evan Market guy on, and we got the Uneducated Economist on, and then I'm trying to see if Formafist. He's not on his Skype right now. I wanted to get Formafist on too. He wanted to do a video with me this week. Unfortunately, I just lost track of time on Monday. It just blew away. Okay, Bloomberg zeroes in on California housing crisis as he campaigns in Stockton, San Francisco. So here's Bloomberg. Oh, where is he? Housing. Every politician will always use housing as a platform to get them in to political power. Why? Because it's what everybody is fearing, or everyone's fear of losing, and what people are fear of missing out on, right? UK housing market put on hold by the election as political and economic uncertainty puts off by both buyers and sellers. Remember, guys, tomorrow is the Brexit vote, guys. Don't forget. Growing New Zealand poverty and inequality in New Zealand. Numerous reports point to worsening poverty and social inequality in New Zealand more than 2 years after the formation of the Labour Party-led government, which pledged the end of the National Party government's austerity regime imposed since 2008 financial crisis. New Zealand tried the whole Kiwi Build It, or the Kiwi Build plan to build more homes, and yeah. Yeah, we got Lou Guy saying there's about 500,000 homeless in California. Yeah, that's believable. And New Zealand, again, in trouble. Housing market heating up before the holiday period. Now, could Santa save New Zealand? That's from yesterday's date. The housing market is heating up ahead of the holidays. The positive signs of growth, according to the ASB, latest quarterly confidence survey. So here it is, guys. Markets look like in New Zealand are lifting in price. Why? They're losing or they're lowering rates. And how long can this go on for? Honestly, like I was talking to uneducated economists, we just said, what's the next tool? What are they going to throw at this next time to keep this crap going? We'll get houses to 2 million the next year. Maybe 3 million. Well, they're already 1.2 million for a teardown in some major cities in Canada. Canadian banking regulator warns members to prepare for rising vulnerabilities. Well, banks don't have enough money in their reserves to hedge against it. I think they have 2% or 4%. Let's just look at this real quick. I think it's 2 or 4% in reserves right here. This comes after it was hiked 2% in June, that it was at 1.5% last year. That's a 50% increase over the span of a year. So right now, buffer was raised to 2.25%, just 0.25 points from. I would honestly, as a bank owner, I would want to have at least 30% of reserves in my reserves. At least 30%. At least 30%. Wow. How high is too high? Vancouver property tax dilemma. We're having a massive. They're looking at a 9.3%, factoring next year's increase in utility fees. They're trying to get you. They're trying to get these markets corrected, or the expenditures of the cities. They're trying to get these cities basically funded. Their infrastructure, their doctors, their garbage men, whoever takes care of the infrastructure in these cities, they're trying to attack the owners, people that own. It's almost like you're being punished for owning. We're done. Oh, we can't buy in the market. It's too expensive. Now, if you own, you're getting punished. Property tax, insurance taxes going up on your property because your property's worth so much, a $40,000 deductible. You know what I'm saying? Toronto has the highest bubble in the world, says Sanjay. All right, let's see if we could get. Where's Supreme Cannon? Is he here? We got to get him on the show in a few seconds here if he's here. Steve the Plumber. He's not showing up here. I wonder, guys, is Steve the Plumber in the comments? Get him on the show, too, to give us an update on what's happening in his neck of the woods, too. He sees a lot of things on the ground, believe me. Foreclosures, sell-offs, this, that, bank foreclosures, all kinds. Okay, Supreme Cannon's on Skype right now, but his thing is... Oh, there he is. He's available. Yay.
Hola, amigo.
Yo, that was a quick pickup, man. How are you, my brother?
I'm so far so good. Yeah, week's going all right so far.
Okay, we got a housing problem here, but before we jump into that, what the heck is going on? It looks like both of us now have a stalker.
Yeah, we've accumulated some fans apparently. Yeah. We haven't talked about this cult of yours. I hope it goes through. Otherwise, I hope Amazon will give me my money back for this pallet of Kool-Aid I bought.
So here it is. How I Escaped the Cult of Mike Martins by Supreme Cannon.
Yeah.
So this is not your vocabulary, 100%.
No, sir. I tend to be a little verbose, but no, that's a little too ornate for me, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it sounds very like proper English.
Yeah. No, he's well spoken, whoever it is.
Yeah. Okay, so just to clear up anything, people. I don't have a cult, and I'm not charging people 500. What was it? 500? What was it? 500 grand or something?
It was 500 grand a piece to buy a house. We're gonna take over the Azores.
Oh, the Azores.
The Azores, yeah. We're gonna storm the Azores. You know what? I freely admit that sounds like a hell of an idea, but I don't have the price of admission, and I suspect most people listening tonight don't either. So I guess we better get on today.
Okay, and then he responded to himself with his response to himself.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen both articles. Yeah, I don't know.
But who has the time to write all this?
someone with time. Like I said last time, God bless someone who's got that kind of time. I don't know why this is so important to them.
I don't know why. I'm actually, I fail to see the reasoning behind it, but it is entertaining. I guess it is entertaining. Sorry,
Yeah.
my kids are pretty loud here playing with the dog. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay,
Kids,
so
great.
you saw I think you saw last week's trends in the housing market, or you saw part of last week's trends in the housing market, and we were discussing last week about that guy, that store owner, that little store. He's paying $53,000 a year in property tax.
Yes,
Now,
that's
there's
crushing.
no second story. There's no back alley. There's no, like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, like a backyard or anything.
Yeah, stores kind of like yours. It might have more square footage, but still, that's unbelievable.
Now, my question to you, I got a very important question to ask you. Do you
Okay.
see these properties becoming abandoned when the landlord can't afford to rent it out because, or can't rent it out because it's too expensive? And then,
Well,
do
yeah.
you get what I'm asking you?
Yeah.
Do you see these
well,
places becoming abandoned?
it's going to have to happen sooner or later. Or you're going to have a whole lot of going out of business sales, a whole lot of fire sales, and then those people, some of whom have been in business for many years, unless they've owned real estate down there for a long time, and at least they've been able to participate in the increase. I have no idea what they're going to do. Like it just doesn't seem like there's any end in sight. And like you've mentioned, and it certainly seems logical, is if a lot of these buildings empty out, well, Vancouver's going to have to raise taxes even higher in order just to cover their costs.
Well, no, but here's the problem. If you own a building, you think you would be good, but you're actually being punished. Then you can't rent it out because you can't cover you're taking it at a negative loss because you can't charge someone that much for rent for that small space. What do you do? Like, do you leave it abandoned so you don't have, you just say, here, just take it back to the city, keep it if you want it? Like, what do you do?
I guess it depends on how much equity you'll have in that building. If you own a building that, say, has 2 or 3 storefronts in it, and maybe an apartment or 2 upstairs, and people start just walking away, well, eventually landlords are going to have to price those properties competitively. If they're leveraged up to the eyeballs, they're going to have a hard time doing that. But any cash flow is better than none at all. So I would think the people that have got more equity are going to win in the end because they're going to be able to lower their rates to where that supply and demand curve intersect again, and they can get people into the storefronts. Because if property taxes are that high, my God, the rents must be insane.
Well, $4,500 a month, remember, we saw that. And then $4,500 a month, then you got to add, the rent on that. And then you're looking at $7,000 to rent that space. You got to make at least $14,000 net just to get by. And that's working alone.
Oh, sure. In a high population density place like the Lower Mainland, as long as you're not it's not just some hobby, you set up a store to make cupcakes or something, you should get enough traffic to handle it. But it's getting to the point where, and a lot of landlords are like that. I mean, they'll get you in the door, like Capital One will get you into a credit card with a low introductory rate. Right. And then over time, they'll gradually raise their rent so that they can start hoovering off some of your margin. It's never quite enough for you to leave, but it's enough that, you can't really afford to go. Mm-hmm. So the part of the strategy of being a landlord is you eventually start, harvesting some of the store owners' profits as well. Mm-hmm. So that's probably also gone over the top. So you're probably going to have to go back to the beginning. You're going to have low introductory rates again to get people in to clear the market of empty storefronts and make it so that people can actually afford to do business and then go from there. But I have a feeling if landlords do that, the next thing is going to be taxes going up. It's getting to the point where anybody with a storefront in the Lower Mainland is going to get caught in the crossfire, and they're just going to walk away.
Yeah,
they're just gonna have a going out of business sale or send it all to liquidation world and sell their house and move inland. It'll be an exodus.
Okay, how high is too high? Vancouver's property tax dilemma. That's an article from the beginning of the month. How high is too high? How high could they go with this? I mean, what's respectively like? What could they do? I mean, I know they have a lot of stuff that they need to. They have a lot of deficits they need to fill. The city has infrastructure it needs to pay for. How long? I mean, how high could they go? I mean,
boy, they're. I guess we're gonna find out. Why places like San Francisco and LA and Seattle haven't emptied out already is beyond me. People's capacity for punishment is incredible. It blows me away. The traffic that they deal with decade after decade, increasing commutes, it just reaches a point where the attraction of the city gets canceled out, and people go, you know what? I think, a secondary city would probably give me most of the amenities I have already. Like you could move to Kamloops, so you could even move to Merritt. It's still much more affordable, although I'm sure you've probably seen your assessments go up since you've bought. Or Kamloops, somewhere like that. Kelowna, places that aren't that far from the Lower Mainland. There's good highways. Anything that you want to do in Vancouver, like go to BC Place or go to the Wildlife Park or whatever. I mean, it's not that long of a drive to go do it and live somewhere else, but you're not going to have a 4-hour commute each way. So you're going to have to go work somewhere else. Your house is full of life tonight, sir.
Sorry, I got my kids yelling in the hallway there. I'm really sorry about that.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
They're just chasing the dog around and
that's good.
It's getting pretty loud there.
Yeah, no sweat. Solid Exeter, more millennials are leaving for rural life now. Yeah, they should, Solid Exeter, and that's smart. You've got to go where you can operate in the black, where you can get a job in a secondary city or maybe a small town or something like that, a municipality somewhere, where your wages will cover the cost of, a reasonable, comfortable life, and be able to put some away. Your personal balance sheet has to be balanced, and you've got to show some profit in your household, and you're not going to do that in Vancouver.
Okay, here, listen to this one. Out of Toronto. Ford government encouraging more home co-ownership to solve provincial housing crisis.
Co-ownership. Oh my.
Yeah.
Well, we used to have a form of co-ownership, it's called families. You had mom and pa and kids. You had this little self-sufficient economic unit that took care of everything. So co-ownership, basically, it's just taking a roommate. I mean, that's probably okay as long as the rental rules aren't as oppressive as they are, say, in British Columbia.
Yeah.
Like if you're Residential Tenancy Act, I mean, all the rights belong pretty much to the tenant and not the person who owns the property and is taking all the risks.
Right.
Yeah. Solid Exeter. No, women could buy land. The only thing they couldn't do was vote until about 1920. They bought land. They owned businesses. They weren't. I mean, yes, it was what we would call a patriarchal society because men were expected, traditionally, to accept complete responsibility to provide for their family. So they had to be in charge. But no, there were lots of widows and single women that were self-sufficient. It just wasn't what everybody wanted. It's a little different now.
Yeah. Okay, should Canada ban non-residents from buying houses? What do you think, Supreme?
Well, I think they should have to get in line. I think that it should be people who are actually citizens of Canada, for one thing, who should have right of first refusal. And if they haven't bought it over a certain period of time, if it's spent a year on the market because it's too high, well, then in a case like that, or it's in a bad location, whatever, well, then make it an option. Just put a waiting period on it, because there's just so much of it is the wealthy from overseas storing their money in our housing, and it's just stinking the place up. It's gotta stop. It's not right.
But there's a lot of the problem is that there's $200 billion in real estate laundered. You know how many displaced families and people and how many jobs not jobs. I'm not talking about people at their jobs. I'm talking about jobs having to close because they can't hire professionals because they have to commute for 2 hours, that they can't stay in business because they can't hire the people they need. Like, this is a big thing. People holding back on starting families, people holding back on getting married, people holding back on laying roots.
Yeah.
Canada's just competing for rich investors, and this is really taking a toll on our country.
Oh, absolutely. I've said many times, we're being plundered like we lost a war. We've got people coming in. We have a de facto invasion of foreign money coming in and displacing us. And if they're not actually depriving people of the opportunity to own homes, then it puts a floor under prices that really should have corrected a long time ago. And and at that point, the banks and everyone else are so over leveraged that they don't dare let prices go down. We've got to the point now that it is literally grow or die. A correction anywhere in a major developed economy could bring everybody down. So I think that's where we are now. I think they've got to keep this thing propped up just to keep the banks alive. But it's sending a false signal. It's sending the signal that demand is still high, and while prices are rising, and the fear of missing out, people went running in there a couple of years ago and leveraged themselves to the hilt. You're going to bankrupt so many actual residents if they get underwater too deep. It's really precarious. It's going to be ugly. If you're ready, you're out of debt, and you're you've got some cash on the sidelines, you've insulated yourself as best you can, you're probably going to be okay, but damn, there's going to be a lot of pain.
Okay, BC speculation tax increased from 0.5% to 2% by the end of the year. Shouldn't it be like 6 or 7%?
Well, foreign home ownership in like Paris, France is 60%. I think we have a long way to go. I think they're just harvesting a little money out of it, but I think it's just the thin edge of the shiv. I would not be surprised if somebody, and there'll probably be an overreaction, but if somebody took it to 15, 20, 25% eventually.
Here it is,
they're going to need it.
And then people that are already down on their luck and trying to find a place to live, rent scams. 43% of renters in North America encounter fake ads. And a lot of people are it's bad. It's families trying to do the best for the best. And what the heck is, wow, here it is. Metro Vancouver home values are 9 times than the incomes. 9 times.
Yeah, that's insane. It should be 2 or 3 at most. It's just so completely distorted. It's just unbelievable.
It's disgusting.
It is disgusting. It's anti-human.
Wow.
It's inhuman. It's not, we're not making families. We're not making residency. And really, if you're just going to recruit people from offshore to come in and buy up real estate, store their wealth here, in a way, it's definitely money laundering, which is criminal. It's just completely immoral anyway. But it's anti-Canadian citizen.
We have 1,800 jobs lost in Australia. We got booming Australian house prices are approaching record highs, growth at their fastest rate since 2003. What the heck is going on? Australian capital city house prices shot up 2.4% in September quarter, according to the ABS, 4 times for what was the forecast. Now, here's the deal. And I covered this in a few stories back. The Chinese are seeing the low Australian dollar as value, like a good deal, and they're seeing places that have gone down anywhere from 8 to 22%. And Perth, Australia, is seeing a lot of sales because Perth is down 40% from its high. So a lot of Chinese investors are coming back now to Australia again because they're seeing the bargains. And I covered that in a video a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. What happens to the Australian proper?
Oh, well, who's that? Where the Commonwealth is post-national, man. I mean, if you've got money, you're in. You're in. Oh, God. The other Supreme Canon wants to call in 15 minutes. Yeah. You might have to wait in line, pal.
Yeah, Patrick O'Shea has a question, but we're gonna deal with that on Mike of the Night, Patrick. The Green Deal. We'll talk about that actually on Mike of the Night. Because it's a really good question he's asking. So we're going to have 2020 predictions. Are you going to come on Mike in the Night this Saturday if you're not busy?
I'll be here. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do 2020 predictions. We're going to ask everyone to call in to give us 5 predictions for 2020 on what's going to happen.
Okay. All right. I'll give it my best.
Okay. Study spanning 20 years highlights structural housing crisis facing renters. Again, Australia right now, it found the shortage of 305,000 rental houses for low-income houses. And we're not talking about, like, benefits people or on people on welfare. These are just people that don't make enough money to live, but they're working. They're short 305,000.
Yeah.
So what kind of jobs are they offering there?
Oh, it's brutal. Well, obviously not good enough. It's a city, has all income scales in it, right? From entry level all the way up to, high dollar professionals and stuff like that. And there should be at least some place in a city that anybody that needs to work there can afford. Mm-hmm. There's talk about low income housing and things like that. But of course, the problem with that is they always want to put the low income housing downtown where the real estate values, are high and probably should be.
Right. Then they basically, like, I remember, like, when they were trying to ban foreign something, and it wasn't foreign investing, but it was foreign ownership tax or something, and a vacant home tax. A lot of the builders were mad. But I'm like thinking, wait, you're mad because you're not going to be selling out your country?
Yeah, well, nobody ever sees it that way, right? It's just business. It's just business. It's a very mercantilist way of thinking. Like I've said before, Canada sometimes, at least the way it behaves, is basically the Hudson's Bay Company that grew completely out of control. People come here for opportunity, and what that usually means isn't so much, freedom and freedom of speech and such, but and freedom of worship as the ability to come and make money, put your feet on the ground, and make something for yourself, which should exist everywhere.
Right.
The problem is that now that the West is so developed, it's not aspirational anymore. We don't really have any frontiers. There isn't really any place to expand into, and so now they have to bring in these waves of foreign money into the country just to try to maintain the illusion of growth and expansion and prosperity. And trees don't grow to the sky. I mean, it reaches a point it has to go down again. Mm-hmm. You're going to see rapid increases in real estate in Canada again after a crash, right? Like things crash, and then when they go up again, they'll go up. That could go up 10 or 15 or 20%. What about space? Well, that's a good question, Solid Exeter. I don't know. Space is extremely expensive to get into. Mm-hmm. So Lou Guy, Mike, and I are both Canadians. Yeah, we actually live about 2 hours apart from each other.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
NAB. Australian Bank still doing dodgy deals. I covered four Westpac videos of Westpac. One of them was Westpac is being charged or fined for 16 million infractions on money laundering.
Jeez. Yeah.
Imagine they have to pay $10 per infraction. It's actually like 50,000 or 100,000 per infraction. That's like $1 trillion.
Yeah. So, well, there you go. It's they made good money for a while until they got caught. Now the government's going to make good money for a while.
Okay. Now my question to you is, Supreme, is it really that bad that the bank really has to create 16 million fraud deals or let 16 deals that are potentially fraud go below the radar? Is the bank that bad that they have to lie and cheat and sell out their own people?
Yeah, well, you remember Wells Fargo got into this racket a year or two ago. In order to keep their numbers up, it was something like Alec Baldwin in Glengarry again, Glen Ross, I think it was. He's this ace salesman who's going to come in and get it, light a fire under everybody's butt to get their numbers up. Well, it was something like that there. Like if you were a frontline teller, you had to produce a certain number of new accounts per quarter if you were going to keep your job. Like you had to be constantly selling people on opening up new accounts. Well, what they did was they would just open up accounts in people's names, even if they didn't have any money in them, to make their numbers.
Wow.
So it's not necessarily that people were getting money taken out from them, although there was probably some service charges that were charged to their existing accounts, but it would have been a small enough number that most people, if they didn't check their statements, they wouldn't notice that, right? Mm-hmm. Then they got caught, and in the end, there was something on the order of 2 million fake accounts that were set up just so that frontline workers could meet the numbers that their management was expecting of them. You know, I mean, you get to the point where something gets saturated, and one bank is really not much different from the other. So if you're not offering competitive rates, if you're not offering a competitive interest rate on savings and things like that, then you've got no choice. You've got to start doing things like this to keep your numbers up. And again, in the corporate world, you know, it's dog eat dog as well. There's banks, so there's manufacturers, there's Volkswagen got caught big time fudging their emissions for their diesel vehicles a couple of years ago. Yeah, that had to have been enormous penalties tied to that. Plus Volkswagen, you know, gets mud splattered on their face. Friggin' Volkswagen. You know, Fahrvergnügen, you know, like that. The German engineering can't solve every problem, right? It's like you people have to leave us alone. Like we've got to do what we've got to do. Boeing with the 737 Max. I mean, Boeing used to be a company of engineers and machinists, and now it's a company of financial engineers who shuffle the engineers and machinists from place to place to make their numbers. It's just retarded. I mean, these things were inevitable. And we saw most of it in the financial industry in 2008. That's when the whole financial industry's pants got pulled down in front of the crowd, and they saw the bunnies on their drawers. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, these people are schmucks. They're crooks. They're liars. They're fraud. This is, you know, they've ripped this off, and you know, and they went home and slept very well every night. You know, this is ridiculous. Terrible.
So okay, can Santa save the economy?
I don't think Santa's got it in him this time. You know, when you have, and Evan actually did a video on that too, and I think you've also covered it. Consumer insolvencies in Toronto, or in the GTA, are starting to, in Ontario broadly, because it's a huge place, they're starting to spike up. They're spiking up at rates not seen since 2007, 2008. So people have spun out. You know, they're driving up that icy hill, and the car spun out, and they're starting to slide backwards. And it doesn't matter how much gas you put on, you're going down. Gravity has taken over. People are overextended. They can't do it. So, yeah, you're going to see a spike in insolvencies. If you're in debt reconciliation business, you're probably going to have land office business in the next couple of years. I think if it's a choice between paying rent and buying tchotchkes for the you know, for your distant relatives, I think the rent is going to win. But we'll see. Well, you know, the first quarter of 2020, we'll find out.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to throw a few things out there. I wanted to get you on the show last, purposely to help wind the show down and go over a few of the articles that get your points of views on some of the articles that we had up there. Man, the Commonwealth is headed for a world of hurt. We got the Brexit vote tomorrow or whatever. That's been going on for the last 100 years. So, I mean, it's just dragging their feet with everything and not giving the people what they voted for. It's really sad. You know, it's really sad.
Yeah, well, it's maddening. You know, it's angering. You know, but most of it is just okay. It's cold water in the face. People aren't running their own lives. These people are making decisions, and they're not even hiding what their plans are for you and me. That should make everyone angry, and it should make them determined to at least shelter in place and do whatever you need to do personally to resist what they're trying to do. It's ridiculous. These people are crooked. They're stupid. You know, they're not clever. I mean, if they were clever, we wouldn't be noticing this. We'd be all fat and happy and, you know, signing our lives away. I'm not taking the chip from some idiot. You know, I want someone, you know, and I never would anyway, but I'm not going to take a chip in my hand or my forehead or let them regulate my life when they're obviously corrupt fools. You know, it would be someone that at least made me believe that they care about me and I was living a prosperous life. So, you know, that ultimately is why people would accept that kind of rule over their lives. No, they haven't convinced me.
So, you know, I couldn't get you in the cult of Mike Martin. So, you know, it's
yeah, well, you know, it was a good shot, man. You know, I mean, I went out and bought that pallet of Kool-Aid. Maybe Amazon will give me my money back. Maybe we'll make this happen another way.
And then you responded to your own questions.
Apparently I did, and apparently I invited myself to, yeah, that's right, Supreme Canon. I did invite myself to call in tonight, and I'm talking right now.
Yep.
So there you go. Your prediction came true. Here I am.
Yeah.
So you have yourself a great, I'm guessing, afternoon, because I'm guessing you're not living in our time zone.
No, Southern Hemisphere, New South Wales territory.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forget the name of the street, but I could look it up again.
But yeah,
we don't know who it is, but man, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's just like, come on, man. Why are you doing this? This can't possibly be fun.
yeah, it is entertaining on my end, I have to admit.
That's right. Solid Extra has a point. Buying into the Mike Martin's cult for $500K is still cheaper than GTA. And I hear that the weather's good in the Azores. I hear it's good there. Maybe we should. Maybe we should lead an army of conquistadores and go take the Azores. What do you think? Let's get this colonization thing rolling again, because this world is spent. We need to abandon it. We need to go colonize somewhere else now.
All right,
we?
Supreme Cannon. It was always a pleasure having you on, and we will have you on, hopefully, on Mike in the Night with your top 5 predictions for 2020.
Absolutely. It was a hard act to follow with your 2 previous callers, but I enjoyed it. Great to interact with you, and God bless everyone, and stay safe, please, and we'll talk soon.
God bless. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
That's our man, Supreme Cannon, guys. You got to check out what's going on here in the How I Escaped the Cult of Mike Martins. This is a really good story. I mean, if you're bored and it goes to part 2, there's going to be like one every day. There's going to be a follow-up story, depending on what time it is there. Yeah, it's going to pretty much have most of the day to get it done for tomorrow morning, my time. So, guys, I'm going to ask if you could support me by throwing a tip in my tip jar, just throwing some change in there. I'm also going to upload this to BitTubers. I'm going to keep BitTubers growing. Look at that, 47 subscribers, and I have hundreds of views on my videos. How do you figure? My viewership to subscription rate is dead. So, on YouTube, it's dead. Hit me up on then Patreon, guys. I lost one of my bigger Patreon supporters, so I'm down to 21 Patreon supporters. If you guys want to join the cause, most of it goes towards just keeping this thing going, right? You know what I'm saying? And buying me coffee. So if you want to buy me coffee, $1 a month, that's $12 a year. I'm also on Subscribestar, and I got 4 subscribers on that. I'm very happy with that. So if you want to join that, please be part of that, guys. And yeah, don't forget to read this stuff. I'm going to leave a link there for you guys to read How I Escaped the Cult of Mike Martins. Oh, Lou Guy. What? Lou Guy sent me $20.99. Wow, thanks, Lou Guy. But I don't know how I get paid with that, because it is called Super Chat. I don't know how I've gotten Super Chat before, but I don't know if I've gotten it. I don't know. So I'm kind of scared of Super Chat, because here it is, guys. Patreon, Mike Martins, $1 a month, $12 a year. That's all I'm asking. Right there. And I'm not going to be embarrassed or ashamed to ask. I spend 100 hours a week making videos. It's got to be something, you know. I love doing this, but also just operating costs. Just everything costs. You know what I'm saying? Time. Everything. You know? Bunch of coffee right there. Buy me coffee and thank you so much, Lou Guy, for that. I appreciate that. Come on the show. So everybody that's commenting, I've been trying to get Low Roller Scratcher on the show. He's saying his English is not good. I got Lord Humongous many times. I'm trying to get more people that are commenting on the show. I need Lou Guy on the show. I need Sanjay on the show. I need, he's been commenting a lot tonight. I need, Raven's going to be on the show. Hopefully he'll be available on Saturday to give us his top 5 predictions for 2020. Whether it's where's housing going, or where the food's going, or where the price of taxes are going to go, or wherever you guys think. 2020, guys, what are your, Emma Murdy was in the comments too. I got to get her to call in. We had her call in once on the show. Maybe get her back in again. And who else? We got Papa Pissed in here. Layla in the house. I'm just going back through all the comments. Yeah, we got to get Patrick O'Shea on the show. We need his input on what he thinks is happening. Nice. The Raven has a Remax Christmas party on Saturday. So we're going to have him there with a hidden camera, and he's going to show us what's going on at Remax. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just joking around. Woo! What else is going on? Raven is hiding his stash. Little Rural Scratcher says Dollar General is the only retail store opening more and more in the USA. Owen says $53,000 property tax. 53 grand? You could build a school in Uganda for $53,000 with running water and electricity. Literally, you can. Because the labor's not so expensive, you could actually build a school for $53,000. Wow. Canadian peso. Someone's mentioned the Canadian peso here. Yeah, the Canadian, they're going to start knocking off zeros off our currency. Watch. To keep it within check. Don't doubt that, because they did that in Mexico, where it was back in the late 80s, early 90s, where the president knocked off 1 0 off every peso bill. And a lot of people lost their fortunes then. Lower Scratcher says $53,000 is 1 year's salary for property taxes. Yeah. Yeah. So early prediction from Supreme Kennedy says the big loonie will go down against the US dollar next year. Yeah, we're going to go down a few basis points. I'm scared. Yeah, I'm scared to see where that's going to head. Very scared, actually. Anyways, guys. I'm getting tired. Thanks for the super chat tip. I really appreciate that. And yeah. Did Venezuela knock 5 zeros off their currency? I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Someone's saying, Sanjay saying, 100K salary in Toronto is nothing. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Zero. I hope to God. I really hope, because God is the last thing left on for most people right now, that they make it right with God, man. Okay, guys, I got 21 Patreon supporters. I lost one big supporter today. I feel bad, man. I feel like I lost, you know? Like I'm losing a game. I'm down 3-0. What do I do? I don't want to give up. Yeah, we got to get Lord Humongous into a JP, to one of the branches there to pick up a key of white powder there for us. Yeah, we're going to see if we can get Dave from Berlin on Saturday. He's already called into the show. We need to get him on the show to give us his predictions for 2020. So, guys, that's going to be next Saturday. Mike in the Night. Look very forward to seeing everyone there. I might have a Christmas party. I don't know if I'm going to start 100% on time, but I'll keep you posted under the community chat on the YouTube section there. Okay? Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate your support and backing me up here. It means a lot to me. Thanks for all our guests, guys. Evan, the market guy, uneducated economist, and Supreme Cannon. And don't forget to check out the fake Supreme Cannon blog here that he's updating every day. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and it's now time to get back to the family. Thank you so much.